Welcome everybody to the 10th anniversary tournament for Heroes of the Storm. So yeah, it's been a while. The game was launched a long time ago. It's the official launch, by the way. Obviously the game was around a little bit earlier, also in alpha and beta phase, but still. So we have actually as our first map Cursed Hollow, not Tomb of the Spider Queen. Professional caster over here apparently dropped the ball, so inexcusable, but thankfully we're going to fix that in just a moment. But yeah, we have our first match today, so we're currently in the group stage, and we have Team Ash going up against Names Are Overrated. So lately, we've been focusing a lot also on the more casual scene, on the amateur scene, as you obviously know, with the Underdog Cups that we just had. So now we're going back to like the top level play, and this is going to be the big tournament that we're now going to cover for the next couple of weeks here. So yeah, we'll see how this is all going to come about, who's going to take it home, and of course we're also going to have a little bit of a look, since this is the what's changed, if somebody has some special tactics prepared, because channeling the inner Hydra, because we haven't had a tournament on the higher level for a bit here now. Now we'll see how this is all going to play out. I'm personally really happy with Team Ash right now. Again, we're like in the group stage at this point. So Team Ash banning the Vikings out, not happy with that. But I always love that we have these guys just coming up with a new acronym. I think this time it stands, the annual Stukov Hangover. I mean, a couple of the puns are actually tortured when they are putting them in there. But I like that. I think the original was Team Arthur's Stroidram. So Arthur's builds a temple or whatever. That's actually what it translated into in English. But the guys are awesome. The Russian-Ukrainian team, always with their aggression that they have. I mean, they're kind of known for that. And they love to just go ham. And it is always a blast. An absolute blast to check it out. So, yeah. But now with the Stukov hangover over here, I also want to see some Stukovs. There's quite a bit of prize money on the line for this one as well. We are over 3k at this point. So Lucia gets locked in immediately for Darinushka here. But yeah, very happy with this. Also, I am having a great day. I am not quite sure if I'm going to link that in the description as well, but I actually had another bike race today, and it was a big one. It was the official marcha in Valencia, so in Valencia City, so not some backwater village or something that hosted it. And I had probably one of the best results in my cycling career here. I took 5th place in the whole thing, which is just crazy. 180 kilometers, it's a little bit more than 100 miles, and roughly 2,200 meters of climbing, which is, I believe, roughly 7,000 feet. So yeah, very happy. And that was my morning. And now we're casting Heroes of the Storm with another big tournament. So wins all around today. Chromie and Blaze wouldn't be a top Heroes of the Storm draft if we wouldn't get Blaze pretty much immediately. I mean, he is still the strongest side laner, one of the strongest side laners, no matter what map you put him on. Cursed Hollow, by the way, as a starting map is also something that I really like here. I absolutely love Cursed Hollow. I think it's not used as much that I would get tired of it. We have a couple of maps that are maybe a bit overplayed. I mean, they're overplayed for a reason. They're very balanced, and they're extremely popular for that very reason. But Cursed Hollow is always a nice little change, and with all of the options that the teams have around the tributes, the double boss plays, for example, it's actually pretty cool. So we have Zarya and Vala starting things off. That already shows us a bit on what exactly Names Are Overrated is going to try and pull off here. Obviously, they're looking to have Vala as a hyper carry, and they're going to play with quite the strong 4-man. Which wouldn't have made it interesting with a Viking component to the draft. One of the reasons why Team Ash also banned it out. I mean, teams are usually pretty familiar with each other, being it through scrims or other tournaments. So, yeah, Viking ban probably a pretty good choice considering what they're currently going for here. We have a Nubarak and Anduin. Unfortunately, no Garrosh play. If you watch games here a lot, and you know that Garrosh Zarya is something that I actually enjoy quite a bit. Doesn't get played a ton back when the Swedes were still playing a lot with Lauba in particular. They love to go for it, but it has dropped off slightly. Doesn't mean you can't use Zarya with other tanks though, but there is obviously a little bit of a cheese factor in there as well, which I think is pretty cool. Garrosh still makes an appearance on the side of the Loop team. We get Falstad too. So now we have a global on the map in addition to Chromie for the burst damage. And that leaves us with our final pick for map number 1 in the series. Mr. Tycho has to pick, and we need, well, a little bit more damage for them here. Also a side laner, yeah. Side laner in particular. Vala's going to be the one trying to go for the auto attack style and melt the tanks, but they need someone to deal with Blaze. It's not going to be Zarya. So they go for Urel, the Space Goat. Khaldor, ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 in the series here at the Anniversary Cup. Game number 1. Prepare yourself for battle. We shall. Thank you. On the left, anyone with Garrosh. We have Renella on Lucio. Bishops is playing Falstad. We got the birdie in. Darinushka has swapped over to Chromie. Renella is the one playing Lucio for the team. And Maitri then on Blaze, rocking the side lane, of course. Vala, played by Dragor, is of course going for Creed of the Hunter. Doesn't really come as a shock. Anything else would have been a huge surprise, considering that they're also playing with Zarya here. Played by Coffee. We got Tycho on Urel, Hanzuka on Anduin, and Darkwolf is playing Anubarak. Hanzuka is a name that I actually like quite a lot. It's a mix between Bazooka and Hanuta. So essentially, every single time that I read that name, I expect somebody with a Candy Bazooka just shooting Hanutas around, which would be amazing. Tell me you wouldn't love that. I personally think that would be a huge win, so any party would benefit from that. If you don't know what a Hanuta is, then look it up, you're missing out. Now, Vala needs to get a couple of stacks together. And, well, down at the bottom of the map, that 4-man that we talked about earlier is already starting to really wreak havoc. As I explained in the draft, if you're going for a Zarya composition, you normally are running those heroes as a 4-man, and then that's why Vikings oftentimes vibe with that as well, because they can have an easier time to soak the 2 adjacent lanes. In this case, it's Urel that is making consistent rotations between the mid and the top lane, where she is facing off against Falstad and against Blaze. So, down here, how much damage can they do? That's obviously the trade-off that we're talking about. We already have, with the defenders, an attempt to just shut them down. And the 2 against Urel, they're actually not doing too badly against the structures. Tycho is doing what he can to ensure that it's not too much damage, but the entire wall up here is already gone. And if you're taking a quick look what's happening down at the bottom of the map, not all that much. So yes, damage obviously is a thing here as well, but not nearly as much as they would have probably hoped for. And then in addition to that, you're also looking at Vala with only 5 stacks, which again isn't a huge problem just now. But you really need to make sure that she's going to be the one that brings the numbers as the game continues. So she needs opportunities to stack this, or they're going to have a very, very tough time. She's supposed to be the main damage dealer. There's a few others that can chip in as well, but she really needs to bring the pain. Blaze is already working on the fort at the top, whereas the red team is now taking down the wall at the bottom of the map finally. Has also some siege giants here that, if well protected, could help them to get some damage on that fort. But if you look at the top lane, Blaze is doing extremely well here. Maitri has that one already down to 60-65% of its HP, and in the middle of the map with the mercenary camp that was taken a second ago, Falstad is now pushing, and Urel is just not in a position where she can deal with this. So the blue team is currently absolutely outplaying them on the macro side. There is not a single kill in this game yet, but the blue team is taking a massive advantage just by showing Urel her limits. And this is a problem. It will be a big problem if it continues. And something has to be done by names are overrated, or they're going to have a tough time here. Tribute is up on the map, so by now, I mean, we're only 3 minutes in. That's why it's actually so crazy how much damage was already done. The double channel was successful, and the red team walks away with the first tribute. But the lead in experience also goes to the blue team, and they're, again, executing another macro play with Falstad, who now moved down to the bottom of the map and is taking another tower down. So, really, really nice plays by Team Ash here. Up at the top, fight is focusing on Zarya, and she's gone. Zarya's gone. Rest of the team is also slowly moving out. Urel is now attempting to deal with the attack at the bottom of the map, but one of the towers has already fallen. And the second one might just... Nah, forget it. The entire wall is destroyed. Bishops, no problems here. He's going to be able to barrel roll away if he really needs to. But is also putting more pressure onto Yorel. Level 7 talents now available for both of the teams. Blaze still working the middle. And the blue team is doing everything right currently. They got their kill. They didn't get a tribute, but they have now done damage at the top. They have destroyed every single wall on the forts. And yeah, they're looking really good here. So kudos to them. That's a very, very nice start into the series. And it's going to be tough for the red team to recover from here. Obviously, the dynamic is going to change also massively once that we are looking at level 10 abilities. But at least at this point in time, things are starting to look a bit rough for the red team. Not only do they fall behind experience, but it's really just the structural situation that they're facing up against. And oh, that's a kill. That shouldn't happen. Bishops with a nice approach on Vala is able to take her down. That's some of the Gambit stacks now lost. The birdie still blocking the cockroach. And with another stun, they get the kill. And they follow it up with a third one on Urel. So, yeah, extremely well done here. First one to fall was Vala. Then afterwards, a little bit of body blocking and another stun. Takes down Anubarak, and obviously the stun also affected Urel, who also gets killed. So that's 4 kills to 0, and Team Ash is putting on a clinic here. They're crushing it, and they have the early level 10 now. With level 10, we get Gust. Chromie went straight for the Slowing Sands, and we got Decimate from Garrosh. And the problem for names are overrated is really that there is such a big gap currently that essentially Team Ash can, for like a minute or so, do whatever they want here. They can either focus on a boss, they could start to go in for the next tribute, they can just focus on a couple of structures. So whatever they are trying to push here, it's going to be difficult to defend. And I, again, have to also mention that Vala and her stacks, it doesn't really look all that great. Oh, that looks worse. Now she's dead again. That's 10% of the attack speed bonus gone. And 3 heroes were lost. So, yeah, the boss will also be taken. Level 10 was, of course, fantastic for them in that fight. But that in the corner, in that little choke point, was a total disaster for the red team. So, the boss is about to be taken. They're claiming this one as well. And at least early on in the game, Team Ash is going through names that are overrated. Like hot butter through cheese. Nasty. Nasty plays here. Mr. Taiko. And by the way, we still have also the hot butter through cheese merch. So if you watch this on YouTube, there's a link in the description. You check it out. It is glorious. Best thing that we have in the shop there. Absolutely fantastic. Especially when you show it to people that have absolutely no idea what it is. That makes it even funnier. Anubara goes down. They're trying for another tribute. Boss is obviously walking through the top. And we already have seen the fort fall. Now, down here, can they get another kill? They're trying to. Jet Propulsion connects. Ult used by Heraldo. Nobody's defending that boss, by the way. It's a very early one, but it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. So, Vala is at 39 stacks. So, she hasn't even gotten the first quest reward on her level 1 talent. And at the same time, she lost 10% of her attack speed bonus. So as you can imagine, that's not really great. Then you look at the rest of the numbers and you can tell that this is a tough one for the red team. 8 kills to 0, 2 level advantage. The first forts have fallen. There's little else to say. Vala is still the top damage dealer for the red team, but she's sitting at only 12,000 damage. You compare that to Chromie, and you see that she is nearly doubling that. Then we have Falstad, Blaze, and also Lucy. I mean, pretty much everybody has nearly has either more or roughly the same damage numbers that Vala has. So for the red team, what they need some decisive plays and get some kills. That's one of the reasons why they're actually now trying to invade at the bottom of the map. They're attempting to be aggressive, even though they're talent down. I think it's fair to say that they're a bit desperate at this point. This is a rough game for them. They were trying to go for that 4-man core team, and it did not play out the way that they intended whatsoever. Team Ash countered it perfectly. Using Fall State with the global mercenary camps, always with a purpose and really good timing, put onto lane. Now we're talking Curse, and they cannot, I mean, they can't do anything about this one either. So the fort in the middle is going to fall for sure. Now that Anduina is gone, we're going to try and get another kill here, and they will likely get one on Urel. Even that shield can't do anything. So, yep, Urel is gone, Anduin is gone. They're trying, and they're getting another kill. So with the Nubarak eliminated, that means there's only 2 defenders left. Vala has still not gotten the first quest reward. They're chasing them deep into the base with the curse being active. And, whoa! Zarya makes it out, but look how hard they're chasing them here. I honestly don't even understand why. At this point, just go for a couple of keeps or take the core down. They have a 3-level advantage. The top keep is a goner no matter what. But in the middle, they could for sure take another one out, and then they have to decide whether or not they are attending to try and go for the core. Death time is obviously fairly low on the side of the red team, so it can be a bit of a gamble, can be a bit of a risk, but they are absolutely melting them away. 16 is ready. That means a 2 talent advantage now for Team Ash, and they're just showcasing once again the typical aggression that we are used to from this team. And yep, Bala goes down again. So that is death number 3 for her. The core is also losing hit points. Falset is on it. This is going to be the 1-0 right here. Fantastic play. Fantastic game by Team Ash as they're starting into the tournament. Absolutely great move. And it's a perfect game. They haven't lost a fort. They... Oh, no. Actually, they lose Chromie. Either way, GG. Well played.
Before we head into game number 2, make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet so you don't miss out on any future content here on Khaldor TV.
Well, game number 2. We're heading to Battlefield of Eternity as our second map, and oof. Game number 1 were a bit rough. So we'll see if maybe names are overrated, have a chance to bring this one back. But game number 1 was a bit of an execution. Huge play, by the way. I mean, huge moves from Team Ash. I really liked what they did there. From the beginning, they were in control. They reacted perfectly to the opponent's draft. They had fantastic macro moves, and then also after the kills started to rain in, they just keep pressuring. They never really relaxed and just moved back. They always looked for the next point that they could pressure, and it was just a little bit too much for names are overrated to handle. So now Zarya gets banned out. I mean, again, when it comes to draft restrictions, we don't have anything here. Just as a bit of a side note. So we're not looking at a tournament where you can play a hero only once, just if that wasn't clear. So Zarya and Lucio are now getting banned. And Lucio, because Renella did a really good job on the last one with this. And yeah, over on the left side, the Zarya ban. Just banning a preference pick, and they don't want to deal with that again. Uther also gets the axe, so no chance for him. Now that we're in Battlefield, of course, we have to also look a bit on what exactly they're going to go for in regards to damage. The typical heroes to choose here, Li Ming, Hanzo. Grayman has been gaining a little bit more popularity. He was in the past just one of the top dogs. Hanzo gets banned. Vala with an arrow build. Vala is actually a little bit of a weird one, because when Vala gets picked in Battlefield of Eternity, you can't always jump to the conclusion that she is going to be played with an arrow build. A lot of teams still decide they want to go auto attack, and the idea is that they are trying to just win the team fight and then start working on the objective instead of just simply looking to get additional immortal damage and win the race. So most of the time, or a lot of times, this is actually probably the better approach. But yeah, Vala is in again. So we'll have to figure out what they're going to try and do here. Is it going to be an arrow build for her, or is it going to be that auto attack style? That's the big question. But yeah, so for the blue team with the Haka, they already have another global. I mean, it's a bit of a different map, of course. You have only 2 lanes here. But the Haka is also, you could call it an old school pick on this map. Before a lot of changes came in back in the old days, you would pick the Haka oftentimes on Battlefield of Eternity, because the idea was that he stays on the second objective a bit farther away on the lane, takes experience, and then gets the team level 10. You're trying to win the team fight immediately with that, and then snowball the game afterwards. So obviously there's a lot of changes that came in that makes this, I don't want to say impossible, but it has definitely screwed the timing over massively. Now we get Chromie and we get Varian. They are definitely looking to blow some heroes up. A quick taunt plus the Chromie follow-up is going to be strong here. They ban Stukov. Yeah, the annual Stukov hangover is apparently not happening here. Varian was really looking forward to having a drink or two with Stukov. What is Stukov's favorite drink? I think he's a whiskey guy. I personally, more a rum person. Stukov, on the other hand, I could see him being a whiskey guy. I don't know, if you have any better ideas, then yeah, just let me know. He... yeah, my mind is on whiskey. Now, Diablo gets banned as well. I would like still a follow-up, obviously, for Varian. If you don't get Stukov, Malfurion is a good choice. Usa's already banned, he would have a stun too. The Haka can also follow up on this as well. White main is in the house. Okay. Oh, very good point actually made. Stukov is obviously a vodka person. More vodka. Khaldor, you're an idiot. Whiskey, really? Yeah, I apologize. I brought shame on myself and my family. So yes, vodka it is. Now, Tracer and Anduin. Ah, Light Bomb engage with Tracer. Okay. And that brings us to the final choice. I mean, honestly, from the looks of it, we're going to get a triple frontline for them, which would leave Vala in the only damage dealer position, unless they're all of a sudden thinking about playing a Blaze main tank, and I have my doubts that that's going to be the play here. So if we're going to get that triple frontline, then Vala is very likely played again with an auto-attack build. And that seems what's going to be the case. Murden, Blaze, plus then Hogger on the side lane. Ladies and gentlemen, map number 2, Battlefield of Eternity, between Names Are Overrated and Team Ash. Second game in this series. So, will Team Ash walk away with an easy victory? We have anyone on Varian. Ranella is playing Anduin. Darinushka is playing Chromie. We have Bishops on Tracer. And Maitrai is playing Dehaka. On the right side of the map, Names Are Overrated. After they got a bit of a beating in game number 1, they're now hoping to force the third map. We have the Dark Wolf on Murden, Hanzuka on White Main, Coffee is playing Vala, Mr. Tycho and Blaze, and Dragor on Hogger. Hanzuka is such a fantastic name. Again, every single time I cast any games on this guy, I want to buy myself a couple of Hanutas. And right now, since my race is over, I actually can. I haven't eaten sweets for a long time, for a couple of months now. But I might indulge. It's honestly a little bit weird. Sweets in general, I mean, there's a lot of people that are saying like, hey, I'm more like of a salty guy, like chips or whatever. But I always had a sweet tooth. Always. I can eat an entire bag of M&Ms, like easy peasy, and then ask for a second. So it's really difficult, and to wean yourself off that is not that easy. But once that you've done it, you actually, you're in the supermarket, you look at all the candy, and you're thinking, I actually don't need that right now. But it's sometimes a little bit tricky to get to that point. Every single time that happens to me, I realize that usually during Christmas or whatever, I start to really like indulge. Gingerbread, for example, is amazing, and then I'm back on the chocolate. And then afterwards, I'm always trying to drop that as a bad habit again. And it's a little bit rough, but yeah, you can definitely get there. And once you're there, you don't. It's really weird. It's for sure addictive. Dehaka comes in for the fight over the mercenary camp, so it's a 5 versus 4 for now. Again, playing the macro card. Murden! The dwarf is jumping. Hogger is getting trapped though. Yeah, Hogger is dead. Hogger, he nearly got out there, but now the camp is lost. And on top of that, they also lost one of their heroes. The good news, obviously, is that Blaze got some damage in on the top side fort. So that's nice. That helps him a bit. It's not a total loss. They got something out of the trade. Down at the bottom of the map. Still starting to make the next play. Vala! She went for the auto attack build again, as already predicted after we saw in the draft what they had there. And yeah, it's actually I'm looking at Vala with the auto attack style. I'm like, it didn't really work out for you in the last game. So now it's a triple front line instead of having the Zarya support, trying to keep her safe by shielding her, which might work out well for them, but I need to see what they can do with this. Yeah, I'm really not so sure if that was the play here. But then again, honestly, what is? It just seems that Team Ash is just doing their thing. The funny thing with Team Ash, on the other hand, is that sometimes when you look at the games and they're playing like an absolutely crisp and clean game. And then they make, in the next game, a decision that is absolutely int-worthy, and they just completely lose control. They have done that so many times where they just had a bit of a brain fart when it came to the call, and all of a sudden lose a game where they were already ahead. I'm not saying it's going to happen here. Currently they're looking very clean, but it's what makes this team... It's one of the things, one of the many things that makes this team very entertaining. Yeah, nice move by Mitra here. That connect on Vala was great. He actually went for a bit of a beeline here, because initially he wanted to go for the straight path, but that was blocked, so he went around. Gets the connect, but they couldn't get the extra damage in. Talking about damage, Tracer's just buzzing around. Bzz, 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 and gets killed! The Nexus Mosquito is gone. Yeah, Tracer is like a mosquito. She is annoying as hell, buzzes around everywhere, and eventually she's gonna get you. Oh, double kill for the red team. Nice. I, by the way, bought myself one of these like electric light trap thingies. I don't know what they're really called. But you have these like weird lights that attract like the mosquitoes and other flies and stuff, and then it's just they get zapped. It's amazing. If you haven't tried that yet and mosquitoes are annoying you, for me at least, here where I live, it works perfectly. It is glorious. I'm thinking about getting myself another one. It's insanely loud, so you actually shock yourself sometimes. You're just like, what the hell was that just now? But it's great. It's absolutely great. When there's mosquitoes anywhere, you pop that thing into the electric outlet, and then afterwards it's just they're just gone. So if you have mosquito troubles, I can highly recommend to check some of them out. You can find them on Amazon and everywhere. But yeah, very good. So Immortal number 1, thanks to the double kill, goes to names are overrated. They're trying to push at the bottom of the map. Blue team is attempting to defend. Dehaka, not what he was going for, but Muradin is still getting dragged in. Level 7 talents are already available for the red teams, and they have the talent lead, and they are going to get that first fort. Good for them. Now, I still think after level 10, when more of this build comes online for Team Ash, it could be a problem. Blaze has already fallen here. Of course, it was a very small price to pay for eliminating a fort. But Vala has way more stacks now. This is already so much better for them than what we saw in game number 1. So, yep, 66 stacks for Vala. First quest reward is already done. In the meantime, we're still waiting for level 10 to kick in for Team Ash, that we have that light bomb engage that is surely going to come. And Tracer's, of course, ramping up too. So the damage is slowly getting chunked out here against the wall. Experience gap has been essentially negated. Both teams on level 8. 2 kills to 2. And I like what I'm seeing here. It's a bit closer. But can names are overrated turn this one? Do they have a chance of turning this one around? 15,000. Vala is the top dog in the game. 15,000 damage to her. 14.4 for Chromie. Tracer has to do a little bit more work. Seeing, by the way, players like Bishops on Tracer is just always fun. Tracer, Genji, I mean, you name it, like all of those mobility heroes. And you can already see, just in the drafting alone, a very clear difference of the types of plays and drafts that we saw in the Underdog Cups, for example, and what we're seeing here. And if you haven't... Oh, careful! Vala gets attacked right away. If you haven't watched the Underdog Cup, the 2, we had actually 2 Underdog Cups, I can heavily recommend you to check out the playlists on YouTube. They were, first of all, absolutely hilarious. They were funny as hell. But also probably a bit more relatable for a lot of people, since it focused on the amateur scene. But some of the stuff that you see there, you just don't get to see that in any top plays. What I can definitely recommend is the grand final of Underdog Cup number 2, if you haven't seen it yet. Because it had a couple of plays. If you ever want to see multiple instances of where a team fight ends with not a single hero surviving, check it out. It was ridiculous. I've never... I mean, honestly, it was probably the most fun that I had in a long time in a game. Not the top level, but just hilarious what sometimes happens there. But this is a stark contrast. It's very, very different, and obviously it is insanely clean what they're currently trying to do. Trace has to recall back out, but she tried to go for Vada, who is actually starting to get really wrecked here. But the stacks are coming in now, much, much better for Vala than it did in the previous game. So they're doing okay. Huge fight now. I mean, damn, everybody is just unleashing whatever they have. Abilities are thrown out left, right, and center as Vala tries with the Rain of Vengeance to lock the Haka down a bit longer to get the kill. But Anduin to the rescue. Vala is now at 103 stacks, so the second reward already unlocked for her. And they get the halftime show. Team Ash is having problems. And this is after level 10. So you can't come in and say like, oh yeah, but once that we have heroics, it's going to be a totally different ball game. They are starting to have some issues with this. Now, oh, jet propulsion again at the back, and this time they get a kill. Varian is able to take down Muradin. The problem is that the Haka also falls, and Vada is still stacking. But they are also put into a defensive posture. Oh, nice engage here. Very nice. Clean attack on Blaze and a kill taking him out. Blaze gone. 4 kills to 3. And in comes the attack on the Immortal. A couple of heroes are still trying to defend here, so they're working that shield down as best as they can. Vala is already back. Blaze not yet. But they're obviously fighting an uphill battle here. They're trying to do their best to mitigate the shield. If they could win it, that would be even better, but it's unlikely at this point. With the red team reappearing in the fight and really throwing everything against the objective, they claim this one as well. That's the second Immortal in a row. Now, fight's not quite over yet. Here comes Hoga with the Hoarder pulled. Yeah, isolation is in. The problem is Varian. Varian is dead. They had him locked down, body blocked, slowed. Poor guy didn't have a chance in this one. So, unfortunate for him. Much, much better what we're seeing for Names Are Overrated now. It really felt like they needed one game as a warm-up. I'm very sure that they had a warm-up beforehand. But it apparently was not quite enough for them. So, as it stands right now, Immortal at the top. Is already going through the wall on the keep. The fort has been destroyed. That's all the outer structures gone for Team Ash. And the experience gain through that passive XP, and the fort's getting murdered, is of course there too. Which means that Names Are Overrated have now level 13 talents, just a little bit faster. White Mane with Subjugation. Team Ash has to step it up. They really got to step it up here. Get level 13, get some kills in. The variant combo not working out as neatly as they hoped for. So they need to take some structures out, they need to get some kills. Currently, none of that is really happening, and it's a problem. So let's see how they're going to deal with that when the next Immortal comes in. He also could potentially try and flank in here. Vala gets immediately attacked from all sides. She should die. She gets healed and healed and healed. They're going for White Mane and take her out. Vala is still alive. So White Mane also, of course, gets absolutely pincered from every angle. The timing, not really horrible. I mean, again, White Mane dying is not the best thing here for them to happen. But considering that there's no objective coming up where she's missing initially, it's fine. So what they are hoping to do is steal the camp away. I'm just not sure if they have the timing on this, because White Mane is now back. And the red team is willing to fight, as it seems. Muradin is coming in. White Mane is not quite here yet, but she's on the way. And the fight is about to be lost. Varian is moving out. The Haka is still in. The Haka is trying to get away. He's dead. And that's way worse, because now the Immortal is coming up in just 15 seconds. So this idea to steal the camp completely backfired. It's actually a horrible situation now. They lost the camp, they lost the Haka, they haven't taken their own camp, so they still have to do that. And they are only with 4 up on the map, so if they are trying to go for the camp, it could be taken. So this is exactly what I said about earlier, that sometimes Team Ash and the aggression they're bringing, it's just a little bit too much. And that's what happened here. They try to go for an aggressive call, and sometimes these things work out, but sometimes it also backfires on you. So now they have a camp pushing for their topside keep. Halftime show is already lost. Team Ash is really having a tough time. This is not looking good for them at all. They could lose both keeps here. Topside keep, if nobody is moving in to deal with this now. I mean, I think it might already be too late. The Haka is now trying to defend. Hogger actually died. Wow. 4 versus 5, and they were able to kill Hogger. Good for them. Chromie after a taunt, I suppose, but the topside keep is still gone. Yep. Can't save that. So the Haka will try to move in and help them out, but you look at the amount of hit points that are left on the 2 Immortals, and that's all that you need to know for now. Even if they reduce the shield, what exactly is gonna happen? Topside keep is gone. Shield reduction will play a bit of a role, but the Immortals should again be won by names overrated. Hogger is about to come in. Bit of damage on white main. Tracer just not able to do as much damage to Vala as she probably thought she would. Vala also, the more damage she brings in, the more of a threat she becomes to Tracer because of that auto attack. So that light bomb engage, not successful. Vala actually vaulted out. Immortal is taken. There's already siege giants at the bottom of the map. Guys, I think they're going to lose the second keep here. There's level 16 talents now for names are overrated as well. Vala actually going multi-shot on 16. Did not see that one coming, I gotta say. I wonder if that was a misclick, to be honest. Giving up Manticore with an auto attack build? That's a bold choice. So instead we have punishment. So, okay. I don't think it's gonna matter too much, because they're so far ahead now. But this looks a bit like a misclick to me. Manticore is just the thing to take. Even more so when you play an auto attack style. Even without an auto attack style, essentially 95% of Vala players are picking Manticore. So, bit of damage on the core, bit more damage now because there's catapults at the top that apparently nobody has realized are there yet. So 78%, and they're so caught up in that fight that they're not realizing that the core is getting attacked. Team, you got some minions there. One is griefing and is just attacking the tower like a pleb, but they are chasing down here. They're trying to win that fight now, but even that might not happen. Isolation is out. Anduin eats the Storm Bolt. His dentist is going to be happy about that. That's an expensive procedure right there, but now that they've lost Anduin, they're losing Chromie, they're losing the Haka, they're losing Varian, and well, news alert, they are losing the game. We're going to game number 3. Team Ash loses on Battlefield of Eternity. 2 names are overrated. Fantastic comeback from the red team in this series. Nicely done. GG. Infernal Shrines, game number 3. Guys, as we are heading into the 3rd draft, there is something that we have to actually talk about, which is really important because my chat is currently letting me down. I sometimes buy... I need to put this out to the YouTube community because Twitch chat is letting me completely down here. Bala actually banned, so apparently they're done with this. I sometimes buy, like, for very essential t-shirts that I need, I go to just H&M, for example. They're cheap, they have what I need, it fits me well, and so if I just need some black t-shirts or whatnot, I buy them there. So over the last couple of years, I have actually noticed that despite me physically not really changing, I have gone now from being between M and L, now I have to buy S. Not on everything, on a lot of the stuff I still need M, but in some cases I actually have to buy the size S. Am I really the only one that notices that? My chat came in and said like, well, Khaldor, it is well known that in Spain the sizes are smaller. As if that would make sense, because then I would have go up a size. So it's the opposite. It makes the thing worse, not better. But chat has been completely blocking that topic. Nobody cares about it. I think I'm going crazy. But can somebody try and shed some light on this? Because I'm just sitting there thinking, I can't be completely nuts. I have shirts from the same company from a couple of years ago that fit exactly the same way, but they are M, and now I have to buy the same one in S. So, for the love of God, somebody needs to confirm that this is a thing, that I'm not the only one experiencing it, because if not, then I have to actually doubt my sanity. Which I do often enough as is, but that would be a reason why, yeah. It's a conspiracy. It is these Davos-type elites that are talking to the H&M guys, and they're telling them, make the sizes bigger. For reasons. It's all about money. It's about they're gaslighting us. Like, you were always an S. No, I wasn't. Unbelievable. Twitch chat letting me down on this one is also something that I didn't see coming. So YouTube, you're my last hope here. Alright, Jojo on Infernal Shrines. I keep doing this, by the way. I adjust the thingy, the score, and then I forget the map. Actually, I didn't forget the map. The reason why the map wasn't listed is because I was checking if the audience on Twitch would notice it. They didn't. You know why? Because they don't pay attention. I'm putting a lot of effort into overlays and into other stuff, and they just don't pay attention. They are not watching. So I'm not angry. Just a little bit disappointed right now. So, Infernal Shrines. Why I actually realized that we have Infernal Shrines is because Jojo was picked, and Jojo is great on Infernal Shrines. Another map where she, of course, would have excelled too is Tomb of the Spider Queen, but we get Johanna and Leoric for all of that wave clear. Then we get Jaina for even more oomph. And, yeah, also a little bit more AoE. So, over on the right side, we got Hogger and Dehaka. And even though I'm talking about the draft, I guarantee you, this size thing is still stuck in my head. Some people have said they experience the same thing with shoes. I'm not 100% certain if I can actually confirm that, maybe, now that I'm starting to think about it. But, yeah, apparently, maybe people are getting bigger. Maybe it's all relative, and people are generally getting bigger, so they're adjusting the size. I don't know what's happening. But something is going on here. Somebody should look into it. Hashtag do your own research. So, with that, back to heroes. Mephisto, Vala, and Junkrat get banned. These people hate damage. Clearly. Ooh, Ana. Oh boy. When I see Ana, I immediately want Johanna to go for Falling Sword. Immediately. Gimme Falling Sword, jump on Ana like the good old days. I want to have that comeback. Falling Sword against Ana. Bishops on Zeratul. Renella, last pick. Ooh, we could get Void Prison into a ring. Ring, ding, ding, dong, and dead. Yeah, could be. For the Alliance! Alright, Anduin is here too. Yeah, second time now. That leaves us with the desperate need for a tank! Somebody needs a tank, and spoiler alerts, it is the red team. Zeratul engaged though with a light bomb could be pretty cool. But alright, so our final pick, it is main tank Uther. Uther Ana. That is a wild one. Alright, Infernal Shrines, they believe in it. Names are overrated. Can they pull it off? Let's find out. Team Ash against names are overrated. Let's go. Anyone on Johanna. Team Blondie over here. Renella with Anduin and Darinushka with Jaina. We have Maitri and Leoric, and then Bishops with Zeratul. On level 1 we get Consumed by Vitality for Leoric. Names are overrated on the right side with Uther, played by the Dark Wolf. Hanzuka on Ana. Dragor on Hogger. Mr. Taiko is playing the final map with Dehaka. And we got Coffee on Hanzo. So, does the double support work out, aka the main tank Uther, or is there going to be a bit of a problem? Now, I said before that Void Prison could be a thing. Currently, we're having on level 1 talents that suggest that it might not. Shadowhunter usually indicates that we're going to see him go for Might of Minerzi, but time will tell. On level 1, we're also getting the target practice. Hanzo definitely needs to practice a little bit. And down at the bottom of the map, oof, Bishop's already on the run. I like Zeratul. We don't see him that often, but yeah, Zeratul is always kind of fun. I also want to see what exactly they're going to do with Jaina. I mean, there's a couple of heroes that can really set things up for Jaina. I talked a bit about a potential Void Prison, of course, but there's also an Entomb that you can use. You can stun people out. Uther gets already eliminated by Zeratul and is ghosting around a bit. And then can heal things up. The Lumberjack. Not so fast, Togga. That's not happening. So. Meh. Oh, these dumb sheep. Yeah. So. You know what I haven't actually talked about in a long time? The sheep story. A lot of people that watch this might be a little bit new. And might not know I actually spent a year in Australia. And I learned one thing in Australia. It's apparently wisdom that gets passed on by the Australians. That's what they're saying about like the guys in New Zealand. Apparently the Welsh have the same strategy. So there is actually an endorsed, unofficial way how to fuck a sheep. Yeah, I know. I didn't know that either. And in just a couple of seconds, you can't know that anymore. So basically, if you want to have some sexy relations with a sheep, what you need is you need a cliff, you need a sheep, of course, and then what you also need is you need some boots. So what you're trying to go for is boots that are just like 2 sizes too big, roughly. Okay. So then you take your boots, you take a sheep, and you go to a cliff, and you put the sheep to the front to the cliff, and then you wear your boots. And the next step is you put the back legs, the hind legs of the sheep into the boots. And then you go ham. And the sheep is, of course, in a pretty weird situation right now, because the sheep is getting the action from behind, and then at the same time it can't go to the front because there's a cliff, and it doesn't want to die, so it has to push back. So apparently that's how the Welsh do it, and also everybody in New Zealand. It's what I was told, and it makes perfect sense to me. There's also a lot of sheep in New Zealand, and there's a lot of sheep over there in Britain as well. Now you know why, and some of these sheep have this like dead look in their eyes, and now you know why that's happening. And you can't unknow that. You just know that now. That's just how it is. So, next time you find yourself in New Zealand, buy some boots. First shrine is up. And Jane actually went on level 4 for Frost Armor over here. So, we got the Ice Flurs in as well. Jojo went straight on level 4 for Subdue, and we get the Sins Exposed. And bit of a hybrid with Warp Skirmisher here for Zeratul, but the Arcane Punisher is just being given up. So, 1 kill to 0 with Uther dying earlier, but the first objective, they just gave that up. Wasn't really anything happening, and you can now say that you learned something today, because now you know about sheep. So, yeah. But anyways, 7-7. By the way, for the couple of people out there that probably will be like, oh, like if you don't understand humor, then I really can't help you. It's the same people that always complain when I make like a Trump or a Joe Biden impression or something like that. Guys, if you can't laugh a little every now and then I'm sorry. You're on the wrong channel here. If you take things too serious. Also, it's not my story. It's apparently, yeah. Feeding Frenzy. More Gambits. I mean, this is one of the first games actually where we don't have Vala, for obvious reasons. She was banned out. Now, with the first Punisher being pretty easily defeated, we still have that leading experience for Team Ash, so slightly ahead here. Down at the bottom of the map, a couple of camps are being focused on right now too. And yeah, anyone could... Nah. Trying to move in and getting good Condemn Connect. Hanzo doesn't really help you too much, it's just gonna jump out. if he's that close to the wall. Uther is obviously there too. I mean, again, you are playing Uther main tank plus Ana just because you want to have not only the stun, you want to have the extra sustain, and having a double healer here means that generally it's just tough to take any of them down out. So you need to coordinate that properly. Once the level 10 kicks in and we got Blessed Shield around, there's of course another chance to set especially Jaina up, but also Zeratul. And here comes Might of the Narazim. Is Jaina gonna go Water Elemental? Yep, unfortunately she does. Ring is much more fun. Water Elemental can of course be incredibly strong and is oftentimes the better choice, but let's just face it, from an observer's perspective, Ring is way more fun. It's absolutely great. Now, I'm a bit disappointed still that we don't get Falling Sword, because I love it against someone like Ana. Oh, they really want him. And they get him. That's a lot of ults to kill one hero. That was a lot of ults right there. So, was that worth it? I guess yes. But it's only Leorki. Actually, I'm calling it. It wasn't worth it. They burned 1 minute cooldowns on a hero that is now back on the map already. So, I don't think that was the smartest play here. To get a bit of momentum, I suppose, but Leo is already back to his usual shenanigans at the bottom of the map and is just doing his thing here. So, that wall will fall. They are, of course, going to try and do the same thing up at the top. If they can destroy the fort, that would even be better. I actually think, from the looks of it, blue team is again not trying to go for the objective. They're trying to raise the structures. At this point, they're already committed. They can't go to the top and defend anymore, so both of the forts will fall. It is much more important currently for Names Are Overrated, because that fountain will disappear with it, and the objective is at the top. So, no fountain for the blue team. So that definitely is a bit better now for Names Are Overrated. This series is interesting now. Actually, it's just generally interesting, but if you think about game number 1, game number 1 was an absolute beatdown. I mean, they got destroyed. They got absolutely murdered. Oh, talking about getting murdered. Nah, Uther still has Divine Shield, so he's happy. But then Zeratul comes in and makes him very unhappy, so Uther cries a little bit in his sleep, because Zeratul put him to rest. So, that's the second time actually Uther died, so both kills against him. And they're going for the fort here too. So, that's 2 forts down now. And up at the top, Hogger will have to move back, but he got the 20 stacks for his team, so they're halfway there. And the blue team is still not going for the objective. Gotta love Team Ash. You see that a lot with the first objective. Well, maybe not a lot, but it happens frequently that a team decides that they are trying to push instead of going for the Punisher. With the second one, it is a lot more rare. Not a lot of teams are doing that. And in this case, they are just saying, well, take the Punisher. What exactly are you gonna do? You're not gonna push for that keep. And they land another Entomb. Arrow comes out. Might actually, yep, helps the Haka to escape. Even the light bomb went off at the wrong timing because of it. So Hanzo definitely an absolute hero at this point. Saving the Haka, who should be very thankful. Now, well, up at the top, we still have to bait this over and defend properly. With level 13, we're now also getting the Purifying Darts. So there's the bait. Punisher is baited over. Leo still at the bottom of the map. Again, very, very easily taken out. We're only 10 minutes in. It's much, much harder to take a keep down out than a fort. So they don't want to go in too deep here. So it's fine. And keep in mind, 2 forts got destroyed by the blue team. They could have, instead of attacking the fort in the middle, moved up towards the top. They decided against it, and for good reason. And yeah, it worked out nicely for them. So, yeah. Still, this is way, way closer than any of the games that we've seen before. So, after game number 1, that's still pretty wild. Now, let's see what they can actually do towards the next objective, because at some point that play just doesn't work for you anymore. At some point you gotta face the music. You really, really have to go and try and win the objective, and that's usually around objective number 3 at the latest. So I would be a bit shocked if they're now deciding to also let that one go. That would more than surprise me. We have it in the middle of the map this time. This is the next one. Zeratul is still at the... Zeratul is pretty sweet for those moves as well, because he can always just sit on the side lane and make a couple of plays there. AKA just try and move in, get a bit of wave clear going, take another wave down, and then he has the mobility to quickly go to another lane and continue the shenanigans there. So another nice wave clearer next to Leoric, who obviously is already in a great position with his AoE. But we have Zeratul also now on level 16 with a Master Warblade. We get Cliff of Faith for the second pull. We have more of a Drain focus with Leo that went Crushing Hope on level 16. And they have that added talent now. So, yeah. The map, by the way, is really pinning names that are overrated down into their own base now. All the forts have been destroyed. Every single one of them. So, they're all taken out here. And all the way up at the top. What do we get here? Well, still just Zeratul doing his thing. They have also a lot of vision on the opponent. I mean, they're now trying to hide a little bit to just keep them guessing. But the camps are essentially belonging to Team Ash. And, yeah. Everybody is just waiting for the objective. And the red team is trying to get level 16 talents, which they now have. Beforehand, it would have been a bit, I don't want to say suicidal, but definitely a huge risk to try and go for a fight. So by now, we got Benediction. We have also the active reload. Kablooey is in. And over in the middle, still one camp that is actually going to be joined by a second one, and I don't think they have time to defend. Nah, they're here in time. But they will have to let the initial play on the objective go. Initially, it will be the blue team that takes the objective. Now, Jojo is just anchoring the play a bit. Not really a big lead, honestly. I expected that it would be able to do more than that. Zeratul is escorting another minion wave through at the top before he joins. Zeratul is definitely going to come in now, though. But Hogger died very early, even without the help of him. Dehaka was also missing. Here comes the light bomb, and he comes back in. Divine Shield saves Ana, but that's another cooldown that had to be burned here. Good play by Uther making that happen and getting the perfect timing out. But of course, it's a big cooldown that they now just lost to. To be fair, the blue team used pretty much all of their abilities in that battle, with the exception of Leo that didn't go for an Entomb. But they have full control over the Frozen Punisher. I think that's also what played a huge role in the decisions of Team Ash to not go for a Punisher beforehand. Yeah. So in the middle, the first keep might actually fall. I mean, we'll see. For now, we are looking down at the bottom of the map for Leo trying to take another camp. They're keeping the objective at 39. So they're not trying to do too much here through the mid lane. Well, they're not trying to single-mindedly go through the mid lane alone and do nothing else. They're trying to just set up some extra hot points for the opponent's team. And so far, that's working out quite nicely. So yeah, we'll see how far they can go through the bot lane with that. Over here, of course, is one single minion that they're missing. This is easily done. But the longer this lasts, the more the camp at the bottom of the map can also do. Leo, on the other hand, is getting wrecked very, very quickly here. Just survives barely, but that was close. A little bit too close for comfort, honestly. That could have been a problem. Thankfully for them, it didn't end up that way. So right now, the push is still coming. Bait over the wall. Yeah, tiny bit late. But that is bad news anyways. Perfect coverage with the frozen crystals. And they are already focusing on Hanzo, trying to get the kill here. He barely makes it out. Leo also with the level 20 talents that they now locked in went for Burning Despair. And we got the Shadow Strike here. The keep is going to fall. 100%. No chance to save that keep anymore. But they're falling back. They're not risking it. Even with the 2-level lead and the level 20 advantage, they're not risking going for this. Instead, they are just moving down to the bottom of the map. The camp has obviously done some damage already here. So, yeah. They are able to open the wall up a little bit further. top right. Yeah. Still next little play from Zeratul and Dehaka. The only thing that Zeratul really needs to be careful here is that he doesn't get hit by a taunt. Being dragged into, let's say, tower range is always a bit annoying. Even if you have your blink still up, it can pretty quickly hit you. There was no isolation available for Dehaka. Kind of doubt that he would have tried to use it. It's pretty easy to miss, especially, of course, when Zeratul is just sitting there waiting for you to try and use it. Talking about using ults, blessed shield. Yeah, but it's not enough. Entomb, he gets the Entomb out. Entomb is out. Big stun, big heal. Hanzo arrow. Jaina says bye-bye. Jaina says bye-bye, and that is 2 heroes down. Leo died as well. So 3 kills to 3. And just like that, names are overrated. Have a path back into this. Well, middle of the map, Dehaka has to defend here. The problem is that also means Zeratul has a bit more time at the top. Zeratul is just running circles around them right now, and this is so much damage, they're very likely going to lose another keep here. So, Seinigo was saying like a path back into this, and it's, I mean, it's true to an extent. They have now been able to take 2 heroes down, so they have some map control that they can try and utilize. They are attempting to take the fort at the bottom of the map as a result, but Zeratul has now taken the topside keep, and that is just bad news. So Leo's coming in again with a few more slows. They're trying to go for Uther, and he's gone. Had Divine Shield up, but didn't use it in time, and then he was stunned out and couldn't do anything anymore. So he's gone. Zeratul, Bishops, he's still just making big plays, and is starting to also get the core pressured. Now, with Uther gone, blue team thinks that they have what they need in order to take the game. And in a 5 versus 4 situation like this, with catapults pushing through 2 lanes already, they have a pretty good point. If they can get more kills here, then it's likely lights out. Hogger, fully out of control, is just spinning around, but he's also falling. He dies. Got a nano boost from Ana that didn't do enough. Hanzo is dead as well. That means that, oh my god, they lose the Haka, and that's leaves only Ana as a defender. Guys, this is game. This is game. Team Ash takes it with a 2-1 victory. GG.